Here we're looking at a comparison. In which circumstances do we need to take into account GAAS, Generally Accepted Auditing Standards? In which situation do we need to take into account GAGAS, which is our Governmental Auditing Standards? And then Single Audit Standards, which we actually have a lesson dedicated to. We'll see that there. Essentially a specific type of audit for entities that receive. Actually, here are the criteria right here. So in which case do you need to take into account these standards? Well, you need to take into account all of these standards when you're reporting on fair presentation of an entity's financial statements as a whole. So if that relates to single audit, GAGAS, or GAAS, you want to make sure you're following those if you're reporting on the fair presentation of the financial statements. If an entity receives in excess of $750,000 of federal financial assistance, you're going to follow GAGAS, and same if they expend up to $750,000. Where we get into different territory, however, is this concept of a single audit. It's a more strict type of audit, and that's to make sure that any organization that's spending, using funds in excess of $750,000 that they receive from the federal government, they are following additional requirements and more strict rules. That is going to be single audit. So that's going to have to follow single audit rules, which are going to encompass GAGAS as well, as we see here. You're going to evaluate materiality for each major program. If you're a non-for-profit organization, that's what it is a lot of times. Non-for-profit organizations are receiving federal funding. As an auditor, you're going to evaluate materiality for each program within that non-for-profit organization. And then lastly, you're going to report on compliance associated with those major programs. That could be, say you're a children's hospital, you have a program for teaching, a program for healing children, a program for sending them to camp, different programs within that non-for-profit. Here, we've got the varying requirements of each standard, right? Making sure we're familiar with this. Again, we'll go into more detail in single audits in that particular lesson, but being familiar with in which circumstance, here, we're going to use which set of standards. Peer review requirements, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and we're going to talk about this in quality control review for public company audits, for just normal company audits as compared to government audits. This is where, under GAAS, as an auditor, you need a peer review every 3 years by an independent CPA firm. This is to make sure that you are complying with professional standards. So if I audit a restaurant chain, and every 3 years, I'm going to have another CPA firm come in and audit my audit. And it's like auditception, making sure I did a good job. That's to make sure I can still maintain my CPA license. I'm doing good by rules of the AICPA. And similarly there, as a CPA firm, I'm going to go and audit other people's audits to make sure they're doing a good job. Kind of a nice checks and balances to make sure everyone's doing good audit work out there. However, we've got difference here. GAGAS requires a peer review to be performed every 3 years by an independent CPA firm or by a governmental body. The purpose of the peer review is to evaluate the firm's compliance with professional standards and with government auditing standards. We've got an extra layer of standards to follow. And this governmental body, this could be the GAO, right? We talked about how they are essentially the watchdog, the government, their auditor. So this could be done by them. Different requirements to know for each of these. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.